Some of you may remember last summer the announcement of 7 automakers coming together to form a new charging network in North America. We didn't get a whole lot of details on it other than they would be coming in the summer of 2024, but just this past week we found out a lot more information about it, and the company now has a name. So if you want to find out more about this new charging network, then stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. If this is your first time on the channel, welcome. My name is Corbin. I cover all things Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, EV related. So just this past week, we did get a new press release from this newly formed company called IONNA. Interesting name. Maybe Hyundai is really leading the charge with this development, so maybe they wanted to incorporate the Ioniq branding a little bit into the name, but IONNA is what it's called, IONNA. I will say it kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit better than Electrify America. So with the launch of the company, they now have a website that you can go to, which is ionna.com, and they have a few tabs across the top. On the website, you'll find a video kind of announcement sharing what their vision is, and then there's a news page where we will presumably see many more press releases in the coming months. Now, speaking of Chief Executive Officer, they did announce that they have appointed Seth Cutler as their CEO. And I've never heard of his name before, but apparently he's worked at General Electric. He also worked at EV Connect, so he does have EV charging infrastructure experience. So hopefully he can hit the ground running and have great success implementing this charging network. So when you look at the job openings at IONNA, there are quite a few. It seems like they're looking for everybody that would be necessary for developing a charging location. So that does worry me a little bit about their timeline, because they originally announced this plan way back at the end of July of 2023, and here we are in February of 2024, and the fact that they're just now starting to hire people kind of tells me that they've really kicked this can down the road a little longer than they probably could have. I wish they would have been much more further ahead in terms of getting this implemented than they are currently, and there's no way that these charging sites are coming online in the next 4 months if they don't even have employees working at the company. But in this press release, we did learn a little bit about what they're planning for these charging locations. First off, the biggest point here, they say that they will cover all electric vehicles. That includes cars with CCS connectors, as well as the North American Charging Standard, or the Tesla plug, that all the automakers have basically announced they will be switching to in the next couple of years. So that is great news. So no worries there. CCS car owners are not going to be left in the dust just yet, and there will always be the option to use an adapter. They also say that they are going to provide the best-in-class charging experience. And what encompasses that? Well, they say it's going to include amenities such as restrooms, food service, and retail operations nearby or within the same complex, digital integration, and appealing locations. Now, I don't think this means that they're going to have restrooms at the stations themselves, but there will be a building or a facility with restrooms, food service, and retail nearby. I will say it would be really nice to see restrooms near a charging station. I don't know if you've seen any of the charging stations that Mercedes is building or Porsche is building. Obviously, they're a luxury brand, but these facilities are beautiful. So maybe IONNA can do something similar, but it sounds like they're going to have nicer locations versus today's gold standard, which is a dumpy Walmart parking lot. They also say that locations will have canopies over them whenever possible. This is great because as EV drivers, sometimes it feels like we're considered second-class citizens by having to get out of our cars in the pouring rain, the snow, and just get drenched trying to get our cars connected. Pretty much every gas station I have ever seen in my entire life has a canopy over it, so why should EV stations be any different? And the benefit of the canopy is they can cover it with solar panels and generate some of their own electricity back into the grid, therefore lowering their overall cost to run it. So that is very nice to hear. So talking about digital integration, they're saying that the in-vehicle and in-app experience will be optimized for the vehicles that are being made by these 7 companies, encompassing reservations, intelligent route planning and navigation, payment applications, transparent energy management, and additional features. If they can figure out a seamless experience for reserving a charging station, that could be a real game changer. The idea of reserving a charging spot, I think, is a kind of new novel idea that really has potential. I mean, if you're willing to pay to reserve a spot, if you really need to get somewhere and you don't want to wait 30, 40 minutes for charging, then you have that luxury. And I really hope that they're able to release it to cars that are already on the road today and not just save it for their new generation of EVs. I think that would just leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths that just because they were an early adopter of these vehicles, they're just being kicked to the wayside. So going on in this press release, IONNA says that charging stations are intended to be powered by renewable energy and backed by the combined quality, reliability, and resources of the world's leading automakers. So clean, renewable energy, obviously that's a great thing. They're obviously not going to be able to install solar panels at their stations that are going to be able to charge cars on their own. What they're likely going to do is something similar to Electrify America, where they're spending lots of money to build large solar installations out in the desert, where they're generating all this clean energy that's going back into the grid, kind of offsetting whatever means of generation is being used to charge your car. So it's kind of like a renewable energy credit. Obviously, it's not the ideal way of doing it, but just because space is limited at these sites, you can't expect them to be able to generate all the electricity needed to charge your car there. Now, other countries around the world, specifically France, they're saying that all parking lots have to have solar canopies installed on them going into the future. Hopefully something like that eventually catches on in the United States, because who wouldn't love to have covered parking? Whether you drive gas, diesel, what have you. Being covered from the elements sounds fantastic. Your car's paint isn't getting baked in the sun. Birds aren't crapping on it. I think it's just a good idea all around, and then you can just generate oodles and oodles of electricity. So they're still saying here that they are planning on installing a minimum of 30,000 high-powered charging stations strategically positioned throughout North America. And they plan to have at least some of these online by the end of 2024. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, with plans to expand to Canada at a later date. So Canadians, you get the short straw as per usual. So that's IONNA's vision of their charging stations. Now, what do I personally want to see beyond what they've announced here? I would like to see them focus not only on super high power chargers, but lower power chargers that can be implemented at a much larger scale because they require less infrastructure. So what do I mean by that? I mean in like shopping centers, restaurants, where in their parking lots you have 100 kilowatt stations, 75 kilowatt stations, stations that within an hour, hour and a half, you can get a full charge. The ranges of most EVs today have gotten so big that you can drive for 3 or 4 hours without stopping. And obviously, most people are going to stop and eat at some point unless you are just like making a beeline to your destination. I really think that we could greatly benefit from lower power stations that are just more widespread. Some of you who follow me on Facebook already know this, but I am planning on moving to the Boston area this summer. And because we will be renting, finding a place with EV charging is critical to me, especially because this is a business that I run, and without my EV, I can't run my business. It's just really difficult and time consuming to reach out to apartment complexes and say, what's the charging situation like there? Some of them have level 2. Some of them have just a standard 110 volt outlet, which for me would probably be enough. But for people who live in apartment complexes or condos, just the ability to go to a grocery store or go to a restaurant and within an hour have a full charge, not necessarily 20 minutes like a lot of people think they need. I just think that would be a lot more bang for your buck, because these stations are going to be a lot less expensive to install, probably easier to maintain. It's possible that they wouldn't need liquid-cooled cables, which are prone to issues. So I just want to see more of that. Another thing I would like to see them kind of take to the next level is security. Good lighting, security cameras. A lot of these charging stations are, like I said, in the back of Walmart parking lots. And if you're driving in the middle of the night, you might not feel comfortable getting out of your car and hanging out in a kind of deserted parking lot in the middle of the night. So having security cameras, having good lighting, having signage that announces these things to people who might be there for nefarious reasons. There's issues with charging cables getting literally lopped off of the chargers because there's a lot of copper in there, and people see that as an opportunity to scrap them and make a little bit of money. So just knowing that there is security there could make these stations less prone to these kind of issues that we've seen. Thirdly, I really hope that these stations can make agreements wherever the sites are being hosted, that they have employees of these stores or restaurants or whatever that can maintain the site. It would just be nice if these stations could have trash cans as well as window washing equipment. So one of the tanks with the window washing fluid and the wand. Especially with Ioniq 5 not having a rear windshield wiper, our rear windshield just gets caked with crap in the wintertime. And on a road trip, you really want to wash that occasionally. So why not just have the person collecting the carts go out there, empty the trash cans, refill the window washing fluid, and make it just a little bit more of an enjoyable experience. It'll also be interesting to see what they do for their chargers themselves. Are they going to use off-the-shelf ABB or Signet units? Hyundai has been releasing their own chargers in Korea. So maybe since Hyundai is one of the leaders of this group of 7 automakers, maybe they're going to implement their own charging equipment. I don't know, maybe it's great, maybe it sucks. I'm not in Korea, so I can't really test them. Whoever they decide to use, I just hope that they are reliable. So let's hope that these 7 automakers, because they have so much leverage, that they can get prime locations here in the United States and Canada. Hopefully they can cut deals with some of the big retailers, the big restaurants, Home Depot, Lowe's, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, whatever. Cut deals with these big companies because they have prime locations and typically on really well-traveled routes. So I've got my fingers crossed that this charging network really pans out. If anybody at IONNA is watching this video, reach out to me. I would love to work with you guys in the future to kind of spread word about this network and kind of just get some more inside baseball that I can share with my audience. So what do you guys think about IONNA after this new press release? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Check out my website, ioniqguy.com, for cool accessories for your Hyundai, Kia, or Genesis EV. I've got a cool new accessory that automatically locks your car doors within 10 seconds of all doors being shut, which is a feature that these cars currently don't have. So if you have an Ioniq 5 or an EV6, check that out. As always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.